I am Dan Marks, the webmaster of the Perch Base Arizona Submarine Veterans. I welcome you to the first and hopefully the only Perch Base Arizona Submarine Veterans tolling of the boat ceremony performed in isolation due to the coronavirus restrictions. We extend our prayers to those that are ill and our sympathy to those who have lost loved ones. In the past, this ceremony has always been performed at the Mark 18 Submarine Torpedo Monument, placed on Memorial Day 2000 by the United States Submarine Veterans of World War II at the National Cemetery of Arizona. This year, we are not permitted to assemble in the cemetery, but per the United States Submarine Veterans Creed, we still feel compelled to perpetuate the memory of our shipmates who gave their lives in the pursuit of their duties while serving their country. To provide a background for our guests who may not understand the significance of our ceremony of tolling the boats, let me give you a brief explanation of this solemn remembrance of our shipmates, the officers and enlisted men who sacrificed their lives aboard submarines in the service of our country. John F. Kennedy said, "A nation reveals itself not only by the men it produces, but by the men it honors, the men it remembers." It has always been true that the sea takes its toll of seamen. This is especially true for those who sail the dark ocean depths, the submariner. Over the years, some 4,000 young men have lost their lives while serving our country in the U.S. submarine service. In all, a total of 65 American submarines have been lost in war and in peace. It is also true that no maritime power has ever survived unless its men have been willing to fight back with successively better ships manned by professional seamen who have profited by the lessons learned from the past. Those of us who go to sea today in today's submarines, and those who will do so in the future, are forever indebted to those submarine sailors who gave their lives testing different innovations in submarine warfare during times of peace. These losses, while tragic, have served to provide us with invaluable knowledge to enable us to improve succeeding classes of submarines and are gallant extensions of the traditions of duty, professional competence, and self-sacrifice, which have always been the hallmark of the U.S. submarine force. The U.S. submarine force came into existence on October 12, 1900, with the commissioning of the first U.S. Navy submarine, the USS Holland, SS-1. The early 1900s were a period of intense development, resulting in adoption of the gasoline engine for surface propulsion, the periscope, and improvement in double hull design. By 1906, with most of the fleet in the Atlantic, the Secretary of the Navy approved submarines as the only way to defend the west coast of the United States if attacked. Yet on the eve of World War I, 1914, the U.S. submarine force only numbered 34 submarines. During World War I, the Secretary of the Navy adopted the position that submarines would defend the vital fleet port at Subic Bay, Philippines, and positioned boats there. Between 1914 and 1940, the U.S. submarine force would suffer the loss of 11 submarines with 150 brave submariners in testing new designs. Despite these setbacks, the U.S. submarine force continued to grow. It was during this period that one U.S. submariner, torpedoman second class submarine qualified Henry Berrault, received the Medal of Honor for his selfless courage. The years 1941 through 1945 were years of monumental struggle and sacrifice for all Americans. The objectives were to protect and preserve the freedoms of the United States as well as those of our friends and allies. To this end, our entire national efforts, both civilian and military, were rendered to a full measure of devotion. Immediately following the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, on 7 December 1941, with the Pacific Fleet in ruins, Fleet Admiral Chester Nimitz, a submariner himself, upon taking command as Commander-in-Chief Pacific Fleet, recognized the true military value of the submarine. In January 1942, he raised his official flag on the submarine Grayling, and upon relinquishing his command, took down his flag on board the submarine Menhaden. It was to the submarine force, stated Nimitz, that I looked to carry the load until our nation's great industrial activity could produce the weapons we so sorely needed to carry the war to the enemy. It is to the everlasting honor and glory of our submarine personnel that they never failed us in our days of great peril. This small force, comprised of about 50,000 men, including staffs and backup personnel, which was less than 2% of the U.S. Navy's personnel, and by war's end, consisting of 288 submarines, inflicted a staggering 55% of Japan's maritime losses. Of approximately 6 million tons comprising the entire Japanese merchant fleet, from 1941 to 1945, U.S. submarines sank 1,113 Japanese merchant vessels for a total of 4,859,634 tons. During that same period, U.S. submarines sunk 214 naval warships for an additional 577,626 tons, about a third of all Japanese warships destroyed. Seldom, if ever in history, has so small a naval force accomplished so much. Japan's war effort depended on shipping. It was sunk in the main by U.S. submarines. However, these successes did not come without a price. 52 American submarines were lost during World War II. Many were lost in the performance of their duties. Some men lost their lives individually, but by far the greater number died as their boats failed to return from patrol. In some instances, the cause of the submarine's loss was not known, but in most cases, the report, "Submarine overdue, presumed lost," was the epitaph for both submarine and men. A few were rescued by the Japanese and imprisoned until the war's end. From these were then learned the fate of their ship and crew. The price, overall, was that the U.S. submarine force suffered the highest percentage of losses of any branch of the armed services. 3,500 submariners quietly paid the ultimate price in the defense of their country, which quickly earned them, the U.S. submarine force, the nickname, the Silent Service. 7 submariners were awarded the Medal of Honor during World War II, 2 posthumously. More than 50 years have passed since the lost men of World War II departed on their eternal patrol. We submarine veterans endeavor to keep alive the memory of our departed shipmates at every gathering of our organizations. We do this by honoring their memory in prayer and by tolling of the boats, calling the roll of those U.S. submarines lost since the U.S. submarine force was established in 1900. Still, no one close to the submarine service can reflect on those tragic times without again experiencing the shock and sadness felt upon learning of the loss of the USS Thresher, SSN 593, and the USS Scorpion, SSN 589. And yet, these losses added an awareness to the initial emotions the submariners and those persons closely associated with this branch of the service today know feelings of kinship, of pride, of gratitude, and of profound respect for the gallant men lost on these submarines. They are remembered not as men who were, but as men who are. Men who, because of dedication to their profession of the undersea, have given us greater knowledge of its mysteries and opened broader paths for its exploration and use. For many of us, they live on as specific individuals, each contributing his specific skill to the everlasting broadening knowledge. To us, they will be more vivid in memory for much longer time than others who in the physical sense are nearby. They, all of them, have served you and this great land of ours in a way far beyond the contributions of most of us. Their contributions continue by providing others close to this undersea Navy inspiration, new challenges, new ideas, and new operational methods. No, they are not nearby in flesh, but to us who know them, they are very real, in contribution, in memory, in spirit. We shall not forget them, and now we'll proceed with this ceremony. U.S. submarines lost since the 1900 founding of the U.S. Navy Submarine Force. USS F4, SS-23, lost with 21 men on 25 March 1915 when it foundered off Honolulu Harbor. USS F1, SS-20, lost with 19 men on 17 December 1917 when it was sunk after collision with the USS F3, SS-22 off San Clemente, California. USS H1, lost on 12 March 1920 with the loss of 4 men when it sank after being grounded off Santa Margarita Island, Baja California, Mexico. USS S5, SS-110, lost on 1 September 1920 off the Delaware Capes. All the crew escaped through a hole cut in the hull in the tiller room. USS-05, SS-66, lost on 29 October 1923 with the loss of 3 men when it was sunk after a collision with the SS Albangarez, owned by the United Fruit Company, off the Panama Canal. Torpedoman's mate, second class, submarine qualified Henry Burrell, received the Congressional Medal of Honor for his heroic actions. USS S-51, lost on 25 September 1925 with the loss of 33 men when it was sunk after a collision with the SS City of Rome off Block Island, Rhode Island. USS S-4, SS-109, lost with 40 men on 17 December 1927 when it was sunk after being rammed by U.S. Coast Guard cutter Paulding off Provincetown, Massachusetts. USS Squalus, SS-192, lost on 23 May 1939 with a loss of 26 men when it flooded and sank off Portsmouth, New Hampshire. The boat was salvaged and recommissioned under a new name. USS-09, SS-70, lost on 20 June 1941 with 33 men when it foundered off the Isle of Shoals, 15 miles from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. USS Sea Lion, SS-195, lost with 4 men on 10 December 1941 by aerial bombs during a Japanese air attack at Cavite Navy Yard, Republic of the Philippines. USS S-36, SS-141, lost on 20 January 1942 when it was destroyed after she ran aground on the Taka Bakang Reef in Makassar Strait, Indonesia, near Makassar City. The crew was rescued. USS S-26, SS-131, lost with 46 men on 24 January 1942 in the Gulf of Panama, 14 miles west of San Jose Light, when USS PC-460 rammed it. 3 men survived. USS Shark, SS-174, lost with all hands, 59 men, on 11 February 1942, when it was sunk by surface craft east of Minado, Celebes Island, as a result of one of 3 Japanese attacks. USS Perch, SS-176, lost on 3 March 1942 when it was sunk by Japanese surface attack 30 miles northwest of Surabaya, Java. 59 men were taken prisoner. 6 men died as POWs. 53 survived the war. USS S-27, lost on 19 June 1942 when it grounded off Amchitka Island. All of the crew were rescued. USS Grunion, lost with all hands, 70 men, on 30 July 1942 off Kiska Island, Aleutians, Alaska, to unknown causes. USS 39, SS-144, lost on 13 August 1942 when it was destroyed after grounding on reef south of Rossel Island, Louisiana Archipelago. All of the crew were rescued. USS Argonaut, lost with all hands, 102 men, on 10 January 1943 in the Java Sea by Japanese surface attack. USS Amberjack, SS-219, lost with all hands, 72 men, by aerial bombs and surface craft on 16 February 1943 off Rabaul in the Solomon Sea. One additional killed earlier in the patrol. USS Grampus, SS-207, lost with all hands, 71 men, by Japanese surface attack on the Solomon Islands on 5 March 1943. USS Triton, SS-201, lost with all hands, 74 men, by Japanese surface attack off New Guinea on 15 March 1943. USS Pickerel, SS-177, lost with all hands, 74 men, by Japanese surface attack off Honshu, Japan on 3 April 1943. USS Grenadier, lost on 22 April 1943, 10 miles west of Lem Volan Strait in the Indian Ocean, scuttled after being badly damaged by bombs. 76 men were taken prisoner. 4 men died as POWs. 72 men survived the war. USS R-12, lost with 42 men off Key West, Florida, to unknown causes on 12 June 1943. 3 men survived. USS Runner, lost with all hands, 78 men, by possible Japanese mine between Midway Island and Japan between June 26th and early July 1943. USS Grayling, SS-209, lost with all hands, 76 men, to unknown causes on 9 September 1943 when it was sunk in or near Tablas Strait, Republic of the Philippines. USS Pompano, SS-181, lost with all hands, 77 men, probably by Japanese air and sea attack off Aomori Prefecture near Shirivazaki on 17 September. 1943. USS Cisco, SS-290, lost with all hands, 76 men, on 28 September 1943 during a Japanese air and surface attack in the Sulu Sea. USS S-44, SS-155, lost on 7 October 1943 with the loss of 56 men when it was sunk by surface craft off Paramushiru Kuriles. 2 men survived and were taken prisoner. USS Wahoo, SS-238, lost with all hands, 86 men, during a Japanese air and surface attack on 11 October 1943 in La Perouse Strait off northern Japan. USS Dorado, SS-248, lost with all hands, 77 men, probably by an Allied air attack on 12 October 1943 in the Southwest Atlantic. USS Corvina, SS-226, lost with all hands, 82 men, on 16 November 1943 during a Japanese submarine attack off Truk. USS Sculpin, SS-191, lost with 43 men on 19 November 1943 when it was sunk by a Japanese warship north of Orluk Island near Truk. More died as POWs and 21 men survived the war. USS Capeland, SS-289, lost with all hands, 76 men between 23 November and 3 December 1943 in the Celebes Sea due to unknown causes. USS Scorpion, SS-278, lost with all hands, 77 men, sometime after 5 January 1944 in the Yellow Sea off China due to unknown causes. USS Grayback, SS-208, lost with all hands, 80 men, on 26 February 1944 during a Japanese air and surface attack off Okinawa. USS Trout, SS-202, lost with all hands, 81 men, on 29 February 1944 during a Japanese surface attack in the Philippine Sea. USS Tullabee, SS-284, lost with 79 men on 26 March 1944 north of Palau, sunk by her own torpedo. 1 man survived and was taken prisoner. USS Gudgeon, SS-211, lost with all hands, 79 men during a Japanese air and surface attack on 18 April 1944 in northern Marianas. USS Herring, SS-233, lost with all hands 83 men on 1 June 1944 by a Japanese shore battery and surface craft off Matsuo Island, Kurils. USS Galette, SS-361, lost with all hands 82 men during a Japanese surface attack off Honshu, Japan on 14 June 1944. USS S-28, SS-133, lost with all hands 49 men when she foundered off the Hawaiian Islands 4 July 1944. USS Robolo, lost with 77 men by possible Japanese mine off Palawan on 26 July 1944. 4 men survived as POWs, but they were never recovered. USS Flyer, SS-250, lost with 78 men on 13 August 1944 when sunk by Japanese mine in the Balabac Strait south of Palawan. 8 men survived and were rescued by USS Redfin, SS-272. USS Harder, SS-257, lost with all hands 79 men during a Japanese depth charge attack off Luzon, Republic of the Philippines on 24 August 1944. USS Seawolf, SS-197, lost with all hands 83 crew and 17 U.S. Army on 3 October 1944 when it was sunk by U.S. Navy destroyers just north of Morotai, Philippines. USS Escalar, SS-294, lost with all hands 82 men by possible Japanese mine in the Yellow Sea off China on 17 October 1944 or later. USS Darter, SS-227, lost on 24 October 1944 when it became grounded on Bombay Shoal off Palawan, then was destroyed. All the crew was rescued by USS Dace. USS Shark, SS-314, lost with all hands 87 men on 24 October 1944 when it was sunk by Japanese surface craft in the channel midway between Hainan and Bashi. USS Tang, SS-306, lost with 78 men on 25 October 1944 when it was sunk by her own torpedo in the north end of the Formosa Strait. 9 of the crew were taken prisoner and survived the war. Her commanding officer, Richard O'Kane, received the Congressional Medal of Honor. USS Albacore, SS-218, lost with all hands 85 men, possibly by Japanese mine, on 7 November 1944 between Honshu and Hokkaido, Japan. USS Growler, SS-215, lost with all hands 86 men on 8 November 1944 by a possible Japanese surface attack in the South China Sea. USS Scamp, SS-277, lost with all hands, 83 men, probably on 16 November 1944, from progressive damage in multiple air and sea attacks east of Tokyo Bay. USS Swordfish, SS-193, lost with all hands, 89 men, either by Japanese surface attack or mine on 12 January 1945 off Okinawa. USS Barbell, SS-316, lost with all hands, 81 men on 4 February 1945 during a Japanese air attack off the entrance to Palawan Passage. USS Keep, SS-369, lost with all hands, 87 men after 20 March 1945 between Okinawa and Midway, cause unknown. USS Trigger, SS-237, lost with all hands, 89 men in the East China Sea on 28 March 1945 during a Japanese air and surface attack. USS Snook, SS-279, lost with all hands, 84 men on 8 April 1945 to unknown causes off Formosa. USS Lagarto, SS-371, lost with all hands, 86 men on 3 May 1945 in the Gulf of Siam during a Japanese surface attack. USS Bonefish, SS-223, lost with all hands, 85 men on 18 June 1945 when it was sunk in Taiyama Wan in the Sea of Japan. USS Bullhead, SS-332, lost with all hands, 84 men off the Bali coast by a Japanese air attack on 6 August 1945. USS Kachino, lost with 1 man lost on 26 August 1949 off the coast of Norway due to a battery explosion and fire. 6 from USS Tusk, SS-426, were also lost. USS Stickleback, SS-415, rammed on exercises off Hawaii by USS Silverstein DD-534 on 28 May 1958. All crew safely evacuated prior to sinking on 29 May 1958. USS Thresher, SSN 593, lost with all hands, 129 men off on 10 April 1963 off the New England coast. USS Scorpion, SSN 589, lost with all hands, 99 men on 22 May 1968 due to unknown causes, 400 miles southwest of the Azores in the Atlantic. Finally, we remember all the brave submariners who died in the course of their duties aboard submarines, some individually and some in groups, but where the submarine itself was not lost. Sailors, rest your oars. Thank you for observing our Perch Base, Arizona submarine veterans tolling of the boats ceremony. If you have additional interest, you may want to visit our website at perch-base.org and find out more about our base activities and meetings.